Vice President Inonga Wina has advised that all sensitization messages on the COVID-19 outbreak and prevention should be rolled out in local. The United States government increases its funding towards the COVID-19 fight in Zambia to 180 million kwacha. And also coming up in the news, unions in the mining sector have urged more panic copper mines to immediately recall over 11,000 employees sent on forced leave when management placed the mine on care and maintenance. And for what's coming up in education news, here's Lena.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Good evening. In education news, Teaching Service Commission warns the teachers. Details coming up in the bulletin later. Right now, let's join Joy Seturi with the headlines in sports.
Coming up on sports news tonight, OIG Zambia might lay off some of its workers. Get glued for the details of that story coming up later on the sports segment.
Online, get free swipes and enjoy greater security with a card that turns back its head. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Thank you so much for joining us. And now the news in detail. President Edgar Lungu says the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, CE,
soybeans, they sell, we make fish meal, others do maize meal, mealie meal, we eat together the fish. So I think that's the way we complement each other. For me, this is very good, and I would like to encourage Honorable Champion, my staff in State House, of course, it goes without saying they're always at it.
And Special Assistant to the President for Economic Affairs, Ivene Mwinga, said he has employed a number of people from his fish farming business.
And because of that, I've also managed to put up ponds in Lusaka West using the proceeds from the bank. Since I'm no longer servicing the loan, I've used that money to put up cages in Lusaka West. I have 10 cages now, ponds, 50 by 50. Yes, which are doing very well, Excellency, I must say. Thank you for the inspiration from you.
The members of the cooperatives from Siavonga thanked President Edgar Lungu for having allowed them to State House and witness how he has been conducting the fish farming activities.
So all nunda gondwa alimu agwiya inji ndabona mbulinsi moyi gushigwawa ngande ya butumbotu kubandiswe nobulombo yabonga kuti anze twajiyandi hamangeji jintu asalenzi ba president ajuga ngutujita invite kuti kubone kuno
okuno ndayiya insu ya kambo sokoto bamaningi hamumu lake ino ya mafish pond yanze tendali uti insu nga hagomena bobo kusiga po hasiga wa size so jandijite encourage uti andime utireza gaji ndipa maumi ejindeziro tikagujijita mu bumi bwangu.
President Edgar Lungu has been encouraging Zambians to take up fish farming as a business, as well as set up backyard gardens. For ZNBC News, Lusaka.
And President Lungu is sad that the country has lost a number of traditional leaders in recent months. President Lungu has sent a message of condolence to Luapula Province Minister Nixon Chilangwa on the death of Chief Kasa of the Unga people. The president has also wished the bereaved family and the Unga people of Lunga district God's guidance as they mourn Chief Kasoma Lunga, whose name was Kasongo Muchembe. President Lungu lamented that it is sad that the country is losing traditional leaders who are the custodians of culture. In recent months, the country's Chief Nyampande of the Nsenga people of Petauke, Senior Chief Ndungu of the Luvale people of Zambezi, and Chieftain Chikabeta of the Soli people in Rufunsa. This is according to a statement released to ZNBC News by Special Assistant to the President for Press and Public Relations, Isaac Chipampe. Vice President Inonge Wina has advised that all sensitization messages on the COVID-19 outbreak and prevention should be rolled out in local languages to all communities across the country. Mrs. Wina says the Ministry of Health, line ministries, and all stakeholders participating in the community sensitization programs should ensure the announcements are carried out in local languages. Details in this report.
The increase in the number of COVID-19 cases in the country has become a huge concern to government. Following this state of affairs, government has heightened its sensitization activities in all parts of the country to educate citizens on the dangers of the disease and the need for adherence to preventive measures to avoid its further spread. The sensitization campaigns include public mobile announcements that are being undertaken by the Zambia News and Information Services in all parts of the country in collaboration with partners, among them the Zambia Red Cross Society. Vice President Inonge Wina has, however, called for intensified use of local languages during the sensitization exercise for people to appreciate messages about the pandemic and also ensure that no one is left behind.
The more our people understand about the situation that the rural people, particularly living along the banks of the rivers, find themselves in, the better will understand the vulnerability that these people have found themselves in.
Meanwhile, Muchinga Province Minister Maluzo Sichone, who called on the Vice President, indicates that despite the sensitization program taking place in communities in the region, social distancing is still a challenge among the people.
We have the border. Tanzania has already been hit hardly, and those people are mingling with our people. So I'm so grateful. I know that you are still trying hard to find more things to try and help us, but with this gesture, we are so grateful.
Zanis reports in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, 5 health workers at Levi Mwanawasa COVID-19 Center have tested positive for coronavirus. And President Lungu has regretted the infection of the health workers and wished them well. Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya announced this during his routine COVID-19 update in Lusaka today. Effie Mpande reports.
This is the Levi Mwanawasa COVID-19 Center, where those infected with the disease are kept. Day and night health workers here put their own safety at risk to the COVID-19 patients. Even with personal protective equipment, something can go wrong at any time because PPEs can only protect health workers if they are used properly. Removing them is also tricky. The Minister of Health was the bearer of sad news.
Republican President, His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwa notes with regret that 5 health workers at the Levi Mwanawasa COVID Center have been tested positive for COVID-19 after having saved the people of Zambia for 2 weeks in the facility. The President sends a message of goodwill to the health workers at the front line and those infected and the family.
If health workers get sick, it simply means healthcare service delivery may get affected, and the government is working on stopping this from happening.
The staff have been retrained and reoriented in infection prevention and control practices as part of continuous medical education. Of personal protective equipment to guarantee the availability of PPE supplies for all staff at all times.
Information and Broadcasting Services Minister Dora Silia are concerned with members of the public protecting themselves from COVID-19.
I have seen driving around this morning that many Zambians are complying with the presidential call of every Zambian to be wearing masks. It is extremely important, and yesterday the Minister of Health made it very, very clear that cloth masks, reusable masks, are okay for us to wear because they act as a barrier for all of us, and we can help save the other person as well as social distancing.
With the cases of the coronavirus rising, The University of Zambia is taking research seriously.
The University of Zambia has embarked on a robust research and surveillance program on coronaviruses in the country. The Africa Center of Excellence for Infectious Diseases of Humans and Animals, in short, ACEIDA program, which is housed in the School of Veterinary Medicine, is committing $200,000 or 3.7 million kwacha for COVID surveillance and diagnosis.
Working in a healthcare setting is an occupational hazard health workers live with on a constant basis. But many are hoping that health workers will not slacken in following infection prevention measures, because when they get sick, it is bad for everyone. Efim Pande, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
The United States government has increased its funding towards the COVID-19 fight in Zambia to 180 million kwacha. U.S. Charged Affairs David Young says the figure is a five-fold increase to his country's initial allocation to Zambia. Mr. Young told ZNBC's Brian Mwale in an exclusive interview that the funding is owing to deed and broad cooperation with Zambia in health issues now focused on COVID-19. And Mr. Young praised President Edgar Lungu and his cabinet for making bold moves to fight the COVID-19.
We have four of our big U.S. government agencies at our embassy, U.S. Agency for International Development, the Centers for Disease Control, the Department of State, and the Department of Defense are all involved in our efforts to fight COVID-19. Today, I'm very excited to announce that we're increasing our assistance. We've been able to identify funds to raise our assistance levels against COVID-19 to 180 million kwacha. So it's a big increase in what we've been able to do, 180 million kwacha. It's going to be focused through three of these big agencies that I mentioned, particularly through USAID. We're working to strengthen the lab and clinical systems and partners with the government here to both diagnose new cases and treat those who are sick.
In other news, unions in the mining sector have urged Mopani copper mines to immediately recall over 11,000 employees sent on forced leave when management placed the mine on care maintenance. This follows successive talks held between government and Glencore, the owners of Mopani copper mines, who have agreed to rescind the decision. Details in this report.
And the unions now want Mopani copper mine to reinstate all the 11,000 workers who are sent on mandatory leave.
Call upon Mopani that they must now ask all the contractors to get back to work. All the workers that they sent home, including those directors, to withdraw them, and that they start production. That is the meaning of rescinding the decision. As a union together, we are saying this must be done immediately.
This follows a successful meeting between government and Glencore, the owners of Mopani copper mine, who have agreed to dialogue over a possible solution to the impasse the development has shared the unions.
We thank the whole mine workers, the contractors, the media, particularly the government, who have helped Mopani through Glencore to rescind the decision, and that we will be monitored in a social.
The National Union of Miners and Allied Workers is calling for job security at Mopani.
But we want to urge them, even as they invest in these projects, we are aware that at the end of it all, when the projects are done, there is a tendency to reduce labor. That must not be accepted. The other point is that what is critical as at now is the workers to get back to their usual jobs.
Mushota Mpundu, ZNBC News in Kitwe.
Back to COVID-19 news. Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya has held the Association of the Indian Community in Zambia for investing in a high-impact quarantine facility. Speaking after inspecting the 205-bed capacity quarantine center in Chinika industrial area, Dr. Chilufya said the gesture is a great expression of partnership between government and the Indian community
in Zambia to the Zambian government with so much affection. This is the 205-bed capacity Chinika Quarantine Center in Lusaka. Health Minister Chitaruchi Rufia inspected the isolation center and is gratified by the works done by the Indian community.
This facility is well equipped with all the sanitary facilities. It has all the beds, all the linen. It has all the side amenities that you require in a facility of this nature. This facility is a game changer and gives us confidence of being battle ready. It is our sincere hope that we will not use this facility, but the essence of epidemic preparedness is to ensure that you are ready in the event of a flare-up.
The minister has since declared the facility a COVID-19 quarantine center.
We will ensure that disinfection is done thoroughly. We will ensure that appropriate human capital is available here. We now invoke the provisions under Section 36 and declare this a quarantine facility for COVID-19.
Earlier, Association of Indian Community in Zambia board member Ishmael Kankara disclosed that the facility is part of the support package to government towards the fight against COVID-19.
Given the challenges and constraints your ministry faces in identifying and setting up controlled isolation centers, Association of Indian Community in Zambia has been able to convert a 4,500 square meter warehouse into a full functional isolation center in the Chinika area of Lusaka.
2 million kwacha has been spent to furnish the isolation facility. Macpherson Muguka, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
Local Government Minister Charles Banda says President Edgar Lungu is concerned that some people are not adhering to measures put in place by government to combat the COVID-19. Dr. Banda said this when he called on Copperbelt Province Minister Japhet Mwakalombe at his office today. Here's a report.
In order to ensure compliance levels on the presidential directive on the need for the general public to wear face masks in public places and maintaining social distancing, the Copperbelt Provincial Administration has been on the ground engaging people. And Copperbelt Province Minister Japhet Mwakalombe is impressed with the compliance levels among citizens. Mr. Mwakalombe, during a courtesy call on him by local government minister Charles Banda, also emphasized the need not to harass members of the public by those in authority but engage those not following the directive.
We still have some people who want to think that they can do anything. But obviously, as a province, we know that during this trying time, we need to go in sober, be able to engage them. So we are engaging them.
Mwakalombe also applauded the private sector for the support rendered towards the fight against COVID-19 so far.
We have the support from the government, we have got the support from the private sector, and we are ready to move. And like I said before, we still have a lot of business houses that have indicated the support.
Dr. Banda, who was impressed with the compliance levels on the Copperbelt, also announced that there will be a thorough disinfection of markets and bus stations every weekend.
We need to thoroughly disinfect our markets every week. And that is every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Let's find time between these 2 days to ensure that our local authorities move in to disinfect our markets.
Copperbelt has, since the outbreak of COVID-19 in the country, recorded only 2 laboratory confirmed cases. Damonjtlu reporting for Zanis in Indola.
Munali, Member of Parliament in Kandaluo, is disappointed with the public's low compliance to the directive for mandatory wearing of face masks. Professor Luo says people must not wait until a COVID-19 case is recorded in their areas in order to take seriously the Ministry of Health guidelines. Here's a report.
With intensified sensitization, the messages are sinking in and more people are beginning to believe the coronavirus is here. And authorities are not relenting in the fight against the pandemic. This is why Munali Member of Parliament in Kandaluo has embarked on a mass distribution of hand-washing materials.
One infection sets in Munali, we're all done. So this thing is not even about me, it's not about who, it's about us. and we all have to take personal responsibility. And as you also appreciate, we have our PA system that is going around the constituency, and we'll be doing this every single day to give messages to our people, so that those that are doubting that there's coronavirus, they start internalizing that we do have a problem in the country.
Meanwhile, management at Ntendere Market has continued to sensitize traders and those visiting the market. That's why we are very busy sensitizing people so that they can know how to protect themselves. And residents in the densely populated area are happy to receive the facilities.
We are grateful with the gesture which the Honorable MP has portrayed to Ntendere Market. We are very humbled, yes.
This exercise will continue until all police stations and markets are provided with necessary facilities. Ephraim Chirubaza, NBC News, Lusaka.
You're watching the main news at 19 hours. We take our first commercial break. Stay with us as we come back with more news.
Dear Zambians, as a country, we are going through